Hello Tech Genius, I am Ravi. Have you ever imagined a place where learning is as dynamic as the technology shaping your world? Then here's a deal. With iMatix, you can make sure the learning is exciting, impactful right from the beginning. You have interactive sessions with expert-led courses. In the world of tech, from data science to cloud computing, it's not just about a session, it's about doing, building, learning by solving real problems. So let's get started. We have to discuss about the authentication. What are the ways of authentication and its modules and chains? Another is like main topic is the intelligent authentication, that the trees, authentication trees, we have called the intelligent way of authentication. They have provided ForgeRock provided recently, and we'll make some and on trees over create a tree over here like that, and we will try to authenticate with the tree. Then we'll discuss about what the multiple factor authentication and how the ForgeRock. What are the different types of multi-factor authentication for job, and for that also for one of them. We will create a tree for that. How we will create a setup of multiple vector authentication using authentication trees. That's we are going to discuss in couple of classes now. Now I'm sorry for the first part for the aim authentication as I'm discussing. There's a two ways like ForgeRock provides to do the authentication, first with indication modules and chains. I'll show you on the site as well. And second, authentication nodes entries. I'll show you on the site. This one we got the authentication. These are the chains and modules, right? This is where we want to authenticate. These are the modules, that authentication modules that we are used for the identify for the user. Like data store one-time password. They have provided these modules and chains to authenticate the user with these modules, and the way they use, create a module over there and they use chains to authenticate. Authentication is one of the module in here. That is the different term to say is authentic. Authentication is a feature one of the ForgeRock access management. Authentication is a feature inside the Fortune. Inside authentication, they have different modules. There's two ways that into authenticate in ForgeRock. First is authentication via trees. The one is this one. We are this right, which we are going to perform and test it. We will create a tree with train, and I'll just show it to you, and other ways authentication module and chains. The authentication module and change. This is an old way of authentication and change. This one combined in one. We create a modules and we add those modules in the chains over here, that to set up the authentication via chains, authentication chains that we say in ForgeRock. But what now ForgeRock saying? For them saying they are replacing the authentication by module and change that replacing with the authentication node entries. They're saying it is recommended whenever you set up authentication or multi-factor authentication, you should set up via authentication node entries, because they will remove the authentication modules and chains in future. That's the authentication trees, that we call them the intelligent authentication. Because why it's called intelligent authentication? Because here in modules and chains we don't have. we can't customize the flow, right? But in trees, we can customize all our flow. If you click on this example, one right, if you see we have the multiple nodes over here, right? This node, I'll type node password success for multi-factor authentication. We have different nodes. And I'll show some of them when we test it. This could be here. That's why it's called Intelligent Authentication, because we can create our authentication process and it's like a workflow to create authentication. I mean, which requirement do we need? How many like? While setting us authentication, we want to set the push authentication, right? But somebody tried to log in and then the second authentication will be the push. Some message will be sent to the other application, other app, and he will perform. Like you see now, then banking application. Some of them, I have seen that in Citibank, like whenever user logs in, they send some authentication verification to the user mobile app. And from there they log it in and they click on accept, correct. That's called the push authentication. We can set that type of authentication in via trees. We can set up the authentication like when there's a ForgeRock authenticated app separately. I'll come to that, where you can scan the barcode and after scanning it the OTP will comes. But on the ForgeRock authenticated app, and from then once it's set up, you can use that one to verify the user identity. We can configure everything via authentication trees. In authentication, we have your modules, chains, modules, settings, trees, and webhooks, correct? In that, what is the authentication? Authentication is one of the ForgeRock authentication part, or what are you saying? Authentication is the, what is the ForgeRock authentication? One of the features. One of the feature only. One of the features. One of the feature. And in that feature we have these modules. Correct, these chain modules. And flow is like webhooks on top of a tree, on top of settings, on top of modules, on top of chains. Is it correct? Or is there any other way? Is there what I speak to wrong? What are? These are the authentication of these different features, right? Authentication is a feature inside authentication. They have provided this chain and module. This is a one way of authentication, the old way of authentication that ForgeRock used to do. And then there is a tree. This is a we called out intelligent authentication that ForgeRock calls. Right? How you can set up intelligent, that is a weak set of the intelligent authentication via trees. And this is the webhooks that would define the HTTP calls for even events. That's good. But here we will discuss chains and trees. Both are authentication only. Trees is only the intelligent authentication. Is it correct? Trees is only the authentication, the intelligent authentication. Is it correct? Correct. But chains is just normal authentication. Just normal authentication is the old way of authentication. ForgeRock doesn't normally. Now don't recommend it to create your setup. They have everything moved from chains and modules into the trees. And now you can use trees to set up your authentication and multi-factor authentication. Can you repeat again trees? Trees, authentication trees is like a set of where to authenticate the user, right? and is a way too severe. We can set up the multi-factor authentication. How we will set up? We will create a tree over here. You can say workflow or a tree with the help of the nodes. In chains, there is no multi-factor authentication. In trees, we have a multi-factor authentication, that is the call-in. In chains also, we had multi-factor authentication because they moved all those authentication to the trees. If you want to use the chains, you can set up those in chains as well. Chain and modules. By the way, we call it as intelligent authentication in trees. Trees has been called intelligent authentication because there you can modify your flow on your hands. You can customize your flow, your tree. Like suppose you have a requirement. You want to set up a multi-factor authentication and you want to set up a retry limit, right? If somebody wants to retry you logged in, right? And somebody wants to put the password 10 times. And you want, if you put the 11th time, you want the user to block one, right? You can use that tree for that. You can set up a single flow where all these things can happen. Right? And in the same way, we can do multiple things, like we can do the password blocking. We can do that. We can set up the retry limit to us for the password like 3 times, 4 times. It's up to you. We can set up a push authentication. And this we have a number of flows, a number of nodes which we can use to set up in a tree. We can create as much as whatever we want as per the requirement we bought from them and client. We can create or use the trees for that. And trees provide us a very flexibility for this authentication. How you want to set up the authentication where change doesn't provide that. That's why it's called intelligent authentication. I understand. Once we start working on trees, you understand more in practice. I will say once after this class you should go and practice the trees because once it will be very important. Then you will understand how the works trees works. Right. You will have, I should have a hands on that. That will be very useful. Also, this is also a very important part of the interview. Whenever I go for the photo interview, they always expect you to know that authentication. They always ask you, where's the intelligent authentication? You can see we can set up authentication via a tree authentication nodes entry. That's we have for the intelligent authentication. Well, let's go and try to show you some of the norms here. First, I will show you how we can set up a tree over here. Just a simple. I can give any name. I tried my. You can create a tree like that. It will come as a blank. Where start is a one node, failure is one node, and success is now one node is. These three are the default. These are the default. I do. It's a start and start as a start, node and failure as a failure. Now we will give it a success if everything is gone and then it's gone success. And we have some different nodes over here. I'll describe some of them. I can't describe all of them. You can read for all of them on ForgeRock guide. Whatever the tree I will create for the normal authentication for multi-factor authentication. I'll show you those ones. We are coming to the authentication node, where some of the basic nodes these are that will be required in mostly every trees. One is page node. The page node combined can combine a multiple node that request input to single page for the display of the user, like for a user. I just showed you the page node would be look like if you have to just search it. Page node and you have search. This is the page node. And this is how they can combine the multiple node. Combine multiple nodes and you can put inside, drag a node from here and you can put inside more nodes over here. Like username user corrector node, it will prompt the enter where you can enter the handle, the username of the user. Now if I use the username, connected, this is the one username corrector node used for a basic authentication. I'll put cake and put this one into the page node. What this is called to combine multiple nodes. It can combine more nodes over it. In the same way, I can get the password collector, a node where it's from the user to enter the password. Password collector. And you can add the password. These two are not, I can put in the page. We have come as a one single UI page node with a username. Collector will use any. Collector will collect the username password. Collector will check the password. Now we have come to this other node, is data stored decision node. What the data is stored is this check the credentials of the user provided during authentication. You remember, like we authenticated the identity through the identities. It's added the identities, the user added the identities, and we created the user or the username and password, right? This data decision node, whatever the entries have added in our app for your application, it can check the credentials for those users. These are data decision node, store decision, not a store decision. And now other failure node that we have just seen. This is the failure node which indicates that your journey ended in failure. There is some issue with your application. You need to check like whatever trees you have created. If it failed, if it goes to this node, it means your tree is not working correctly as per design. And success node means that your tree is a journey, got success or whatever you have created over here. The tree is fine. Your tree's authentication is fine. Now I have showed you these nodes. Now I combine these nodes to authenticate the user via trees. Just focus on my line. I'll authenticate the user via tree. Earlier we were authentication the user via ForgeRock URL only. Right now we will authenticate the user via tree now. How we will authenticate? I'll come to that first. We have to create a tree for that. We have collected the nodes which are required to set up the authentication via tree. Here, I'll just start it to start going to the start node point to the page node. Here it's collect the username and password for the user. The page node will bind to the data store decision. It means whatever the username password you will put, it will go to the data store decision. Data store decision will check what are the credentials of the user. That means whatever the username password we are putting, the credentials are fine or not. If the credentials are fine, then it will go to the success. This user will be authenticated. If not, this user will not be authenticated. This is a simple way to create a tree setup authentication via tree. I'll save it. Our authentication tree has been created now. Small doubt. Can you go ahead to the page? Start is the one node, right? Yes, start is the one node. Page node is the one node, right? Data store is one node. Failure is one node. Success is one node. Where is the tree here? This is a tree now. Complete hold called tree, right? Complete for all the nodes. Got the combination of nodes in a single tree is called tree. This is a tree. Now we have created one tree to set up to authenticate the user. This is the my authentication tree. Now what I'll do? I'll go and try to authenticate the user with using this tree. What I have to do, I have to update my URL. This is my URL was there before, right? And now this is the URL I have created which will authenticate it via the tree. How I will define? Where? First, how will I create a URL for that to authentication via tree? First I have my URL, then in which realm I have created the authentication tree. I have created in the top level realm. Top level realm is a root realm. It will be defined as it's equal to / means it's a root level, right? And service means which authentication tree we are using to authenticate. We are using this my auth tree. I'll use this my auth tree over here to go. This is I have created. My auth tree is a login. Now I'll go. I have created a tree. Now if I use, let me into new private window. I'm asking the user to authentication via tree. If I log in, it should log in. I have been authenticated via tree now. This has been authenticated via tree. This one, the authentication, the tree. If there's any issue, like suppose if I make any mistake over here, suppose if I don't put this one, you deleted or that one. No, I have not deleted it. I suppose if I delete this, I'm on this one and save it. Let me log out. See, I'm not able to log in. It's giving me an error. It means that my tree is not working. But as soon as I have been authenticated. Now one thing is this fine. Now the logs. This, to understand the logs also, is very important. Because if any issue come, you can check where it's failing, right? Currently we have created some small application. These are the logs. Keep on updating whatever you do in your AM. These logs are keep on updating. Any issue come, you just come back to the logs. And then this comes with authentication. Where is this folder? This folder is here. Remember we installed, and when we installed the DS, right, it shows the URL link to the all this. Here you will see this bar folder where you have all the installation. I showed you there's one log file created whenever you install the AM. On that one, here's a debug folder. The debug folder which created all the folders for AM. It's whatever you like with authentication. If I have done this with authentication, it will create a authentication over here. And 2330 million. Currently latest buy. These You can come and check all these open just wherever you are. You can open it. You will not have a particular file. It's come in either in other logins or authentication. Let me see. My logs are currently on the which is unable to. When you have like enabled an error log, enabled that it will not show much logs. But I have message warning. Right. And it's debug file. Debug file is like currently what happened is with merge debug files. It will merge all the logs coming in different folder into one folder. Give me 1 minute please. Yes, sorry. Thank you. See this one. I have just opened the authentication. Write any authentication logs coming in. Authentication. Right? We just authenticated with this URL. Right? Correct? Now you can see it's returning the information regarding that over here. We can check if any error comes. Right. If we can, it will print that kind of error over here. We should be like, this is a way to troubleshoot any issue in the ForgeRock AM. Success or failure, result, outcome, callbacks, notes of any issue need to check. You can check over here. This is a way to troubleshoot any issue. Just check the logs. Try to read the logs. Try to hit it. Try to reproduce your issue on your ForgeRock and see you're getting the logs for that. What the logs are saying. With that, you will be able to understand easily here, like we have done this authentication tree realm. I told you that a realm is equal to root realm. This all will turn. Resolve success URL. And other ways to do with the authentication part. This one, like currently, sometimes it's difficult to check each file right. What you can do, you can club all the logs generating into the one file. How you can do that? You can do that. We have same one. Go to this deployment, do debugging, merge debug level logs, debug files into on. It will create one file where all the logs will be coming and debug level message. Remember that. This is the by default. If you do for in production, you should be only set error, not message or warning. Because if you put any message level is very high debug level. It will put everything, even if sometimes it puts a username password as well, right? We don't know how to display the user's name or password into the production logs then, because it will be the security challenge. Always remember, never put debug level message in your production environment. You can do in your lower environment. You can update the debug level to the message to check everything in detail, to check the logs in detail. But in production, I will use the error. And there's a question then interviewer will ask how you can set up the debug level logs in a ForgeRock. You will say like you'll go to the deployment server and then there is a debugging feature over there. There's a debug level and you can set up the debug level message to debug update from any error warning that you can do. David, can you write it down? Can you write it down on notes for me? This interview question. I have this, I guess, in my, but I have some mentors going on. Now what is? Let me check if I have written some. Oh, all interview questions are required. Requesting. Whatever I can give you, I'll give. I'll create one more. And PPT. Is this PPT? And add one section where I'll write the whole interview questions side by side. Awesome, awesome, thank you. That would be better, right? I'll give you I have a question. I'll just tell you, I'll add it also. They will ask one question like if you set up the debug, update the debug level messaging. Info Joe, do you need to restart? Do you need to restart for the options are changed? Not required to restart the website? Is it correct? Right. Correct? Here now, if you say if I refresh, come back and get back in, see the debug out folder is generated. Just now you can see the timing as well. Now whatever I do, everything on this file will be updated now if I refresh it. I guess this one will be. We do some more things. The debugging message level, and this and close it. Then I guess it's updating it now and updating the time, but everything would be start getting in these loans that will create the, I was saying all the whatever the logs were going to other folders. Now right after doing this step here, after doing this step, all will be coming into this debug. And one thing is, if you are unable to message, that will the lot of logs keep on generating and it will take a lot of space. Make sure whenever you've done troubleshooting, disable it to the error level message. Not, otherwise it will fill up your PC or local disk. If you do on your local machine or if you do any client machine, then it will fill up the space a lot. Then also that issue, also it will create due to, because it will create a file such a large number. If you keep on working that this file is already, this is a small one, but when you have big application, it will become the big files. It will be difficult to handle. And then when I stop on that one, the bug level, when you, there is no need for troubleshooting, right, that you can disable to the error one. If you want to see more logs in details, you can enable it to the message one. Otherwise, it will eat a lot of space of your system and CPU utilization as well. That's also one thing to take care for any client. Application that using foraging. Come back to the trees. Integration. we have this new. We are able to create a tree. We are able to create a single set of. We will be able to authenticate via tree now. After setting a tree, I have written also the URL how you can test it right. Multi-factor authentication. Now what are the ways of format? This is a single authentication username password, right? Now we could have requirement come when we need to set up a multi-factor authentication. Like multi-factor and how we can do in Forge, we have trees. That these are 3 ways to do it in a multi-factor authentication. You know, multi-factor authentication is the authentication techniques that requires the users to do the multiple forms of authentication when they log into the system. Here MP supports these multi-factor authentication protocols. First is MFA Open Authentication, both Open Authentication, which is to enable the one-time password authentication. We will set up it in coming. Next to tree, we will create to how we can set up the multi-factor authentication in our current tree. This is we can set up. For this one, we will need a Forge Authenticator app. Is it available in Play Store? You can download from, if you have Android phone, you can download from Google Play. If it's from Android, you can download from Android. Go and search it now. You will see Forge Authenticator with the Forge loop sign. It will be there. Search it now. Search it now. I'll just get a glass of water. Come back with an email. You. Yes, the dollar. I downloaded right. That is the Authenticator app where we will scan the scanner. Let me say. One is Open Authentication that will enable the one-time password that will just do. Other is Push Authentication to receive the push authentication and device. The same device we will use. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel.